I'm Julie Smith. I am from Kiowa, Colorado.
Hey, my name is Kayla Thompson. I'm from Red Bud, Illinois.
I'm Jason Merriman. I'm from Waterloo, Illinois.
Hi, my name is Colton Griffith. I am from Gravette, Arkansas.
My name is Xavier. I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Hi, I'm Zoe Heckenleibel. I am from Orofino, Idaho.
This session is all about engaging your circle of friends with the good news of Jesus. Has anybody ever had like an opportunity where you were able to kind of, creatively bring up the gospel with a friend?
I was just hanging out with my friend all day and we just decided to go on a hike, and we went through this field and we just probably hiked for 2 miles, and we were just talking about everything and anything. And then we ended up just looking at the clouds, like laying on our backs, and she just kind of brought it up herself. She was talking about a Christian camp she had gone to before, and so she was admiring actually my faith and how much love there was in my faith, and I was just able to kind of talk to her, and it was just really smooth because we had just built that relationship all day, and then we were just talking.
That's awesome.
Sitting at lunch, I always noticed there's this guy who would sit by himself, and obviously God put it on my heart, and I'm like, I have to go talk to this guy, because I remember him early in the semester kind of argued with some friends, and so he was sitting by himself, and so I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to say when I walk up to this dude, but I'm just going to sit down and say something. So I kind of sat down, and it was almost awkward at first, but I just kind of looked for common ground and what we had in common. So I asked him, what are things you like? And he said, well, I love music. I was like, dude, that's awesome. I love music too, and so I told him I play music for my church and stuff, and I kind of told him my background within that, and so it was really awesome. We found that common ground, and he wanted to be a music producer and all that stuff, so it was really awesome.
Great.
Shopping with a friend, I decided to ask her what it's like not to go to church, because I've always gone to church, and I was like, what is it like never going and hanging out at a church or going to a youth group? I was like, I've never had that experience. And she's like, well, I just don't like the religion part of like what you guys do, and like she's just like, I just kind of want to live life, and I just do whatever I want to. And we ended up being able to talk for over like an hour about Christ, so.
That's great. Cool. So even though it kind of started awkwardly, right?
It was.
Anybody kind of start a gospel conversation in a very awkward way?
Yeah.
You want to tell us about that?
I mean, it wasn't really awkward. It's kind of really creative.
Yeah.
So in my school, there's like a lot of gangbangers. Right. So I was just remember walking down the hallway, and they were talking about like some shooting, and I was like, how I shoot people? And they were like, how? I was like, I shoot people with the gospel.
There you go.
So you kind of let the guns like, ready? God or sin speaking everyone in life. So how does that really work? And I kind of started sharing the gospel with them a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
Were they open to it?
Yeah, like they were they were laughing so hard about it.
Do you know how I shoot people? With the gospel. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it became a thing with my mentor and I. He was like, hey, dude, shoot people with the gospel.
There you go. That's right.
Awesome.
That's great.
That is awesome.
Sometimes for me, the most awkward moments are when they bring it up first. Throws me off guard a lot of times because I definitely don't expect that. Like, I feel like I'm the one who has to bring it up all the time, so sometimes it's not the case.
What's cool about that though is they know you're a Christian.
Yeah.
And I personally am convinced when we let the light of Christ shine through us, our friends, our neighbors, those classmates, teammates they're kind of convinced and convicted. And they, sometimes awkwardly bring it up.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome.
Those are weird.
yeah. So these are all really, really good. One of the things we do at Dare to Share is we train teenagers how to share their faith, how to bring it up, how to engage their circle using what we call ask, admire, admit. So you ask questions. Because who asked more questions than anybody? Jesus. Jesus asked almost like 300 questions during his earthly ministry. Why do you think Jesus asked questions?
Get to know people.
Yeah. Get to know him. Why else?
Just to kind of show people that he's interested in them, that, I just want to just start talking. I want to know about you.
Yeah, when you ask questions, you're showing care, you're listening to them, you're creating conversation. Jesus asked a lot of questions. And then what do? We admire. And then finally, you admit. You admit the reason you're a Christian is because you need Jesus more than anybody. So it's kind of a humbling way to do it. Ask questions, admire what you can. You know who else admired was the Apostle Paul. In Acts 17, when he goes to the Greek philosophers, he doesn't just immediately accuse them. He says, I see you're very religious. You even have an altar to an unknown God. I want to talk to you about that unknown God today. And he used that as a way to engage them. So you ask, admire, admit. So here's what we're going to do. Earlier, I had asked you all to think of one friend, one person in your circle, right, of a different belief system. Maybe they're Mormon or Muslim or Buddhist, or maybe they just don't exactly know what they believe, or atheist, whatever. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a little bit of role playing here. Basically, it's just practicing sharing your faith. You are gonna play the role of your friend, okay? The other one is gonna play the role of the Christian, and you're gonna engage in that gospel conversation. Our hope is that as you listen to the Christian asking, admire, and admitting, then maybe you can learn a few things about how to reach your own friend, all right? So go.
So I have this friend named Rose, and she is such an accepting and loving person. She doesn't judge anyone on their belief, as long as it gives them a purpose and it makes them happy. She doesn't have a belief of her own. She just likes to hear other people's beliefs, and she's just really accepting, but she doesn't really put her faith in anything.
Okay.
So I'll be Rose, and you can talk to me.
All right. So, hey, Rose.
Hi.
How's it going?
I really hate when people are just so mean to each other. I don't get why you have to be so mean to each other.
Just having issues at school with girls
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah, just everybody just needs love. It just hurts so much when people are mean to you or just put you down, and everybody just needs to be encouraged, and it's just ethics, you know?
Yeah. Do you think there's any way that we could ever do that on our own, or do you think all humans are basically just gonna be mean?
Humans are wired as right and wrong, you know? People know what's right and what's wrong.
Hey, how you doing? How's your weekend, Sam?
I'm good. I went to church with some church friends.
Really? That's awesome. I go to church too. Where do you go?
Well, I actually have this little fellowship at my house. We practice together because I just don't believe in other types of churches like that. So.
What do you mean you don't believe?
Just evangelical churches and non-denominational churches. I feel like they veer off the Bible. So.
I feel they're pretty accurate. What do you mean they veer off?
Well, they just don't keep Old Testament laws and things like that. They don't keep the Sabbath because Sabbath is on a Saturday and everyone goes to church on a Sunday. So I really just I don't like that.
Right, well, I think they go on Sunday because Christ was risen on Sunday, and when you look in Acts, you see that the early believers met on Sunday. They broke bread together, they fellowshiped.
The Old Testament is just accurate, and that's what we should follow. And the New Testament, I don't know. I just really I don't know what I think about it.
I agree. I think it's a good way to look at it as God's people, because we are, God does love us and we are his children, and he gave us those feasts, but I believe they're all carrying us towards Christ, because it says in Hebrews that they were just a shadow of the reality to come. The reality was always going to be Christ, and because Christ was the only one who could fulfill the law. Even Moses said that cursed is the man who doesn't keep everything written in the book of the law. Do you do that?
Do I keep everything in the law? I try my best to.
I agree, people should be nice, and the fact that you care so much about people and you want to care about people, that's incredible. Your heart is so inspiring, and do you ever think about ways that we should fix it? Maybe there's a way we could fix it. Have you ever thought about someone that could fix it, or?
Not really. I think it's just up to everybody, and it's hard to get everyone to see that same picture, but I think it's just up to everyone in their own life.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Do you care if I share what I kind of think about it?
Go ahead. Yeah, we would love to listen.
Okay, so I believe there's a God, and this God is love. It's a weird concept, but in the beginning, God created us, and he was showing his love to us.
Okay.
And he made us because he wanted a relationship with us. So he was.
All right, guys, great job. Heard a lot of great conversations. We're gonna debrief that in just a few minutes, but now I think it's time for s'mores. What do you think?
Yes.
Right over there, grab some. Come on now.
All right. Okay, don't have to tell me twice.
Save one for me.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about the whole gospel role-playing, ask, admire, admit. How did it go? How did you guys feel about
It
it?
was fun. I enjoyed talking it to a Christian friend, but at the same time someone I can practice on and just learn how to, because I learned a lot from her and
Yeah.
how to witness and stuff too.
Right.
That's good. You learned a few things?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
thought it was a little awkward at first. Like when we were first thinking about it, I was like, man, this is gonna be a little weird. I've never done anything like this before. But I mean, it was kind of cool. Like, I mean, Javier brought up some interesting questions that I was like, why don't we kind of sit back and ask ourselves these questions sometimes and see how would we respond, just like sitting there, you know?
Yeah. So Kayla, I would ask you a question. As you were getting talked to by Jason, he was witnessing to you, sharing Christ with you. Did you feel like your belief system was getting admired?
Well, kind of.
You know, because it seemed like, as I was overhearing, it seemed like it kind of went straight to an apologetics kind of deal.
Yeah,
Maybe I was
Yeah.
wrong. And so sometimes in those kind of conversations, you know, you kind of skip the admire and go right to the battle.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's hard to like listen and, you know, just like sit back and let them talk. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and Jason, I picked that up because I'm a lot like you. To be honest with you, I was a kid, man. It was like, let's go. You don't believe in the Bible? Let's rock. Let me give you 10 proofs to kind of show that you're wrong.
Yeah.
And you can get to all that stuff. But I think the more you listen and the more you ask questions, what you can admire, then what happens? What happens when you listen to people and you ask questions?
They open up a
Yeah.
lot.
They
they
open
do.
up.
Yeah.
They trust you.
That's right.
Yeah.
The walls come down, and then you're able to engage in those,
Yes.
you know, bring out those apologetics facts because now they're more open to listen.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you and I are a lot alike, and it took me 40 years to kind of even begin to figure that out. And you can learn that a lot quicker as you keep going. How does that help us really have intense conversations and not just make presentations? You know, so many times I think Christians we want to make that presentation of the gospel. But what's the power of a conversation over just a regular presentation?
Because it's real, and I feel like when you're talking to someone who doesn't believe in God, you just realize that you're on the same level. You're both sinners. We both need Jesus, and it just really makes it real, and it's not fake, not anything you put on, because you really just want to reach this person.
Yeah.
So I feel like just having a conversation gives you like, you know, you get to know people more and different backgrounds, and it's just great because when I ask people like, what you believe in, and not giving such a presentation of like, hey, believe in this, is like, you find out some crazy stuff like this lady believed that, you know, the sun has higher power and everything. It was just like, are you serious? But you kind of have to be respectful because, you know, if you kind of just make a face like, what are you talking about? It's like, you know, they would shut you off automatically. You have to kind of be respectful.
You want it to be in a conversation format as much as possible.
Yeah.
So we have to get to the gospel. It's not just about the conversation. We need to share the gospel message. But how we kind of get into that is a lot, I think, more effective if we're asking, admiring, and admitting. You guys did a great job role-playing with each other. And I think it'd be appropriate if we kind of wrap this session by maybe getting in a circle. We're talking about how to engage your circle, not how to enrage them, but how to engage them, right? Why don't we get in a circle with our chocolate-covered s'more hands, hold hands, and pray for our friends. Let's just pray for that friend or that family member, that neighbor that God has put on our heart. You want to lead us out, Kayla?